No one, I mean no one, nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to explain this system better than I will. In these pages, if you're reading it or if you're watching this, not better than the professionals who hide behind procedure, not the academics who speak in soft language and avoid conflict, not the child protection experts who tippy-toe around institutional abuse, not the social workers, CAFCASS officers, solicitors or judges who benefit from the public staying confused. No, I'm not here to give you definition. I'm here to expose the entire psychological architecture behind how the system manipulates the public. Every tactic, every game, every trapdoor, every linguistic trick, every behavioral test, every power play disguised as support, every way they twist your words, rewrite your behavior, and weaponize your reactions. This isn't theory, I'm telling you now. This is lived reality, multiplied across thousands of families who walked in expecting justice and walked out wondering, how did I just lose my child? How did a lie become a finding? And how did a professional opinion become fact? How did they turn my evidence into my problem? It happens because the average parent goes into this arena without knowing the rules. They imagine fairness, they imagine honesty, they imagine logic, they imagine accountability. They imagine professionals will follow their own codes of conduct. Family court is a psychological battlefield disguised as safeguarding process. And most people walk in completely unarmed. No emotional strategy, no understanding of institutional behavior, no awareness of how power is applied through tone, language, procedure. They keep digging themselves deeper because they don't know and they don't realize that everything they say, do, or react to is being interpreted through risk frameworks, behavioral indicators, attachment assumptions to bias, personal ego, and institutional self-protection. This guide, because it exists because the system will never, never, never teach you the rules. Never teach you the rules. Confusion benefits them. Clarity benefits you. And I'm done with letting parents fight blind. The videos ahead, in the chapters ahead, I'll break down every psychological game they play with clarity, honesty, and zero fear. If you learn these rules, you stop being a victim of the process and start mastering it. If you don't, the system will continue to do exactly what it's designed to do. Protect itself, not you, and not your children. Professional gaslighting, how the system manipulates you. This is an educational guide by me, the Apple What's It, Jason. The origin of the term professional gaslighting, why it's not recognized yet, and why you are ahead of the curve. Professional gaslighting is not a formally recognized psychological term. You won't find it in the DSM-5 social work textbooks, CAFCASS trainer manuals, or safeguarding guidance. And that's exactly why it needs to be named. Institutions rarely acknowledge concepts that expose their own behavior. Yet parents, survivors, whistleblowers, and frontline workers are already using the term because it describes a pattern that is unmistakably real. When professionals use their authority, procedures, and official language to distort your perception, dismiss your concerns, and rewrite your lived reality. Right now, the term exists in a transitional space, widely understood by the people who experience the system, but not formally adopted by the bodies responsible for its failures. This is not unusual. Most major concepts in trauma psychology followed the exact same path. Coercive control, that was lived for decades before being recognized in law. Parental alienation, known globally long before the UK courts admitted the pattern. Trauma bonding, used by survivors long before therapists acknowledged it. DARVO, described in journals a long time before professionals understood it. Institutional abuse, denied by institutions until it's undeniable. Every one of these terms began as a lived experience before becoming official terminology. Professional gaslighting is the next in line. And you, viewer, lucky viewer or reader, you are encountering it early. The concept is gaining traction because people inside the system are finally speaking the truth. Systems manipulate, systems distort, systems deny, systems rewrite history to protect themselves. Naming the behavior exposes it. Seeing the pattern breaks it. Understanding the tactic protects you from falling into its psychological traps. By using the term now, you are way ahead of the curve. You are recognizing a behavior the system relies on precisely because parents don't have the language for it. This guide exists because silence helps the system, language helps you. When you name the behavior, you don't just understand it, you neutralize it. You stop internalizing their narratives. You stop doubting your reality. You stop apologizing for things you didn't do. Professional gaslighting is real, even if the system isn't ready to accept it. And you are now one of the early adopters who can finally see it for what it is. What professional gaslighting actually is not a buzzword. It's not an exaggeration. It's the system's favorite psychological weapon used by institutions to distort your reality, discredit your voice, and neutralize you before you even realize what's happening. It appears in social work. It appears in CAFCASS, the NHS. It will appear in schools. It's in the police force. It will appear in the complaints departments. It will complain in family courts, safeguarding teams, mediation services, housing, local authority legal teams. Anywhere, and I mean anywhere, there's power plus procedure, you'll find this. It works like this. An authority figure rewrites your experience using professional language. And because they have a title and you don't, their version becomes reality and yours becomes perception. It's psychological warfare wrapped up in paperwork. Why does professional gaslighting exist? Now, institutions are obsessed with risk optics, blame avoidance, internal reputation, ticking boxes, moving cases quickly, protecting themselves over protecting children, looking competent even when they're clearly not. Admitting fault creates liability, and liability creates exposure. Exposure creates consequences. So instead of fixing mistakes, the system reframes them as your misunderstanding. This isn't accidental, it's structural. The language of professional gaslighting. The system never gaslights directly. It hides behind non-judgmental professional phrasing. Here's some classics that many of you will recognize. And every single one, well, I think many, if you've been through family courts and you're a man, about 90% of these you'll recognize. But that's not our understanding. That's not our understanding. No, we don't recognize your concerns. No. Your perception is different from the facts. You seem defensive. You're being too emotional. We've already risk assessed that. We've already done that. We don't have that recorded. Oh, yes, but we're satisfied with the information that we have. Thank you. Well, that's not how we interpreted things. You're overthinking. Stop overthinking. There's no evidence of that, even when you just handed them the evidence. Well, we take it different for you. Notice how none of these statements offer clarity. They offer authority. The goal is to shut you down without openly disagreeing so they can avoid accountability while blaming your interpretation. And what it does to you and why it works is professional gaslighting destabilizes your mind. It is designed to make you doubt your memory, your judgment, your instincts, your evidence, your perception, your confidence, your emotional regulation. A destabilized parent becomes a quieter parent, more compliant, more apologetic, less assertive, easier to manage, easier to blame. This is not incompetence, far from it. It's method. The system's hidden tactics, professional gaslighting, usually appears in combination with either other behaviors, like selective amnesia. They forget facts that make them look bad and remember only the parts that reinforce their narrative. They report manipulation, not outright lies, just strategic omissions, tone shifts, and half-truths. This is more dangerous than living the lying because it feels reasonable. And then you've got the tone inversion. You speak calmly, they write agitated. You raise your concerns, they write hostile. You stay polite, they write anxious. Your behavior is rewritten to suit their story. Then you've got the blame reversal. Their failure becomes your non-engagement. Their delay becomes your miscommunication. Their oversight becomes your lack of understanding. Professional opinion presented as fact. Most sophisticated. This is the most sophisticated manipulation tool. A CAFCASS officer can write, he appears controlling with zero evidence, and guess what? It becomes risk. Professional opinion is the system's legal cheat code. Look at this case scenario, how it plays out in real life, right? You report a safeguarding concern. You hand over photos and screenshots. You provide medical information. You give dates, times, chronology. And they reply, thank you for your email. We do not recognize the risk concerns here, as you described. And basically that means we don't want to deal with your rubbish. We're reframing the entire situation as your overreaction. And a week later, they write it in a report. Father presents with heightened anxiety and concerns not supported by the evidence. This is professional gaslighting in its purest form. They ignored the evidence and they rewrote your behavior, then blamed you for your reaction to their neglect. And the system calls this child-centered practice. So how can you protect yourself against professional gaslighting? Most parents lose because they try to argue emotionally. The system weaponizes that. You must switch to strategic communication. Keep everything short and factual. The less you say, the less they can twist. Record every interaction that's not documented. If you're having meetings with them, record it. Do not tell them you're recording it, just record it. And you can hopefully never have to use it, but if you have to use it, it's there. Never argue verbally. Always redirect to writing. Can you put that in writing for me, please, for clarity? Professional gaslighters hate written accountability. Then you've got the reflective deflection. Use neutral, regulated lines. I appreciate your perspective. I'll reflect on that. If I need to adjust, I will. Thank you for raising that. These shut down escalations, but while giving nothing away. Document everything. Chronologies, screenshots, online, consistencies, latenesses at school, paper beats, power 100% of the time. Don't show emotional spikes when they are waiting for. Dysregulation, so they can label you as dysregulated and irate. Your calmness is your weapon. And how to reverse the power dynamic over time. You win long-term by becoming the parent who is consistent, predictable, calm, evidence-driven, reflective, non-reactive, factual, unprovocable. Once you stop feeding them emotional material, they lose leverage. Professional gaslighters can only manipulate people who react. A regulated parent is unshakable. And the system quietly realizes that you're not someone they can fuck with. So they step back. And this is the final truth. Professional gaslighting only works when you don't see it. Once you recognize the pattern, the spell breaks, the tactics lose power, their phrases sound empty, and their reports become transparent. Their manipulation stops landing, and awareness is the antidote. Documentation is the shield, calmness is the weapon, strategy is the vision, and this is how you survive the system, and how you beat it.